Hello everyone, it is Caitlin, and today we are making a lightweight springtime wool jacket. Alright, we're going to start with cutting out the pattern. So the actual pattern turned out huge. I'm pretty sure this will go to my knee, which is not what the engraving shows. So we're going to modify it quite a bit. So I have a fabric here, which is just some black wool. And I have my bodice pattern overlaying the pattern here. Of course I had this on the fold because I want to cut two front pieces. And what I think I'm going to do is to go around this pretty well, and then maybe cut it a few inches longer. And I do want to do a scalloped hem. I saw an original photograph detailing that, and I really like that idea. So this goes to my waist, and I definitely want it about 4 or 5 inches longer. And I can mark about 5 inches down. Right across there. Alright, so I fit the black piece and cut it down a little bit because it was a little big. And now I'm ready to cut out the lining because it does fit now. So I have this lovely ice blue silk, and I'm just going to cut out the exact same amount of pieces. Let's sew a whole bunch of things together. Let's start with the little pockets. I'm not, of course, going to sew across the top. I'm going to sew everywhere else. I'm going to, the couple of originals I've been able to see the inside of look like they're bag lined, which is like a modern lining thing, which is not typical of 1860s things, garments. And so black to black and blue to blue. And I am going to still do the scalloped hem. I just haven't. I think I'm going to sew these together first, iron them out, pin the lining and this together so I can do that at the same time. And do the same thing with the sleeves. Where I am putting the scallops on the hem, like the CDV that I was looking at. So I have this, which I used a long time ago for a dress I no longer have, to put scallops at the edge of it. So I'm going to use this as my pattern, I suppose. I'm going to move my pins to where I'm not going to cut through them and ruin my scissors. And then I get to cut on the line. Alright, there we are. So I'm going to sew across the top and the bottom of the jacket and turn it inside out at the edges here. Alright, so I have a turned out jacket, turned in the edges. I want to whip stitch that by hand. I have the sleeves here that I went ahead and prepared. Yeah, so they're just lined and they have a cuff that doesn't look fantastic, but it, you know, it works. I need to do a little hand stitching just up here to keep the cuff on. And we can go right ahead and attach the sleeves. And the jackets I'm looking at online that I can actually see do not appear to have piping. So I'm not putting piping in mine. It kind of makes sense to not have the piping, as piping tends to add a whole lot of bulk. And I will do the same thing for this sleeve. I'm really excited about this project. I've been needing something that's, you know, a good light outerwear. Not necessarily summer outerwear, but like just, you know, when you're inside and it's just a little chilly, but not like too chilly where you don't want to like fully, here comes the kitty, fully get, you know, into your coat and everything else. You just need something like an extra layer, but you don't feel like holding up a shawl. I think this is going to be a great option. Nice little indoor jacket or a spring jacket. Although in Texas it's really hot by the time spring runs around, so we usually don't need anything warm by that point anyway. After sewing this in the front, I think I shall go do a little bit more research on if I have to do buttonholes or if I can fake it and do just plain buttons with a hook and eye closure underneath. But I have a feeling I'm going to need to do buttonholes, which I really don't want to do. Alright, I am sewing the, I guess the front part down, and I already marked where I'm going to put the buttonholes. And yes, I did decide to do buttonholes. I found the original examples that had non-functioning buttons, so they were just hooks and eyes and pretty buttons instead of, you know, actual working buttons. However, the more I thought about it, the more I decided I'd rather have buttons that work, just because I feel like buttons and buttonholes are more secure, especially with an unfitted garment, than hooks and eyes are. And also because, let's be honest, I'd hate buttonholes, mostly because they don't turn out right, and that's mostly because I don't ever do them and I don't practice. So I'm going to get over my aversion to buttonholes, and we're going to make some buttonholes. Alright, the dreaded buttonholes. Oh, I'm also going to be using these as buttons. They're little glass, actually left over from the blue silk plaid dress that we did a while ago. I went back and forth between using them because I always think of glass buttons as like dress wear, and this is an outer garment. However, it's an indoor outer garment. Like, it's not a garment I would necessarily wear outside or at town. It's an indoor jacket just to kind of get myself warm. So it's kind of like extension. It's an extension of your dress, basically. It's not really real. It's outerwear, but it's not real outerwear, if that makes any sense. And if I ever come across research that says this is not correct, that even though it is an indoor jacket, it's still a jacket, and I need some other type of buttons, they're easily replaced. But I had exactly as many as I needed to make this dress work, and it's nice just to get rid of them from the stash. So we're going to use these, and if we need to, we'll eventually replace them. And I know that you're not going to be able to see me do the buttonholes because it's black on black, and yeah, that's not going to work. But I'm going to show you a little bit of it anyway, just because, you know, to prove that I did it. I'm going to start at the very bottom and work my way up. That's what I usually do with buttonholes, because I tend to get a little bit better as I keep practicing. And so the worst one will be at the bottom, and these, where people are most likely going to notice because it's close to my face, are going to be the best ones on the garment. Little trick there. So buttonhole tutorial, this is not. However, you know, you just start with a running stitch all around about the size of your button. That'll work. About where you want the stitch to end, and then cut it, which I don't have a chisel with me, so I'm going to just cut it. Make sure your button will go through before you start stitching, because that is not fun to realize that your buttons won't go through. Alright, The buttons are almost all sewn in. Thought we did the last one just right here. I realized I made a mistake as far as putting in the pocket. I really should not have put the lining in yet. I should have done the pocket one of the first things. So yeah, that's gonna be interesting to figure out now. But I still want to put the pocket in. I just don't feel like taking the whole thing apart, especially now that I put the buttonholes in. It wouldn't actually have been a big deal if I hadn't put the buttonholes in. Then I could have just reached in and done them. But I realized about halfway down with the buttonholes that I had made a mistake. So I went ahead and finished the buttonholes. Took out the neckline, so I have a way to get in here. And besides, I was going to redo that anyway because looking at originals, piping on the neckline is still more common. Even though you don't see piping in the shoulders, you will still see piping in the neckline. So that is the next step, I think. I had to mostly do it pockets by hand, just because getting a machine through just the one layer is going to be difficult. And I'm still not entirely sure how to do these pockets, so we're going to figure that out as well. But I think I'm going to try on the jacket and kind of see where exactly I want the pockets, and then we can discuss the how we're going to manage this, since I kind of screwed that up. But you know, it's a learning experience. First time ever putting pockets in a outerwear, so it was a learning experience. I learned, I now know, and we will somehow manage it for this project, and I will know for next time. So after much deliberation, I have decided to do just a plain old patch pocket. Mostly because even though I could get my hand through the neckline, it's going to be just too difficult to do a well pocket. So the reason I didn't immediately go to patch pocket was I didn't remember seeing any originals that had patch pockets on them. I've since gone back through, I found a few, so we're good. So yeah, I think ideally I wouldn't have the stitches on the back side, but I can't be the only person in history who forgot to put her pocket in before doing her buttonholes. I really didn't have to add a pocket. In fact, I think most of the original jackets I was looking at did not have pockets. Some of the ladies who were wearing jackets, you know, they had their hands over where a pocket would be, so you can't actually tell. But a lot of them did not have. And I could have left it without a pocket, but I just feel, and it felt like there's something just missing on this particular jacket. I think because it was black and it wasn't profusely trimmed, I think it just needed something. And I don't need a huge pocket just because, again, it's an indoor jacket. I don't really need to be carrying a whole lot of things. I am finishing up the last bit of this piping. Trying to get this on the neckline. So once this gets put in, we're done. Alright, there's our lovely little jacket. I think I might have to go over this with the lint roller before I actually try this on. But we're at the point where we can put it on and see how it looks. I think I might show y'all a dress that y'all haven't seen yet, actually. And then one we won't get to work on together because it is completely done and correct before I start the channel. So I think that'll be fun. And it'll look really good with this jacket. So I'll go put that on and we can see how the jacket looks. Alright, so here I am dressed. This is actually one of my favorite dresses. It's a wool chalet. Beautiful bright red wool that is so lightweight and just so gorgeous. And it has this lovely, y'all can't see it, it has this beautiful scalloped hem detail. And I love scallops, so I thought it would look really well with the little jacket we made. So let's try it on. If I can find the armhole, that'd be super helpful. There we go. I think this is a really nice, lightweight indoor jacket. That's just enough, you know, if it's you're by a fire, but you just need an extra layer on. I think this is a really great option. And also, if it's just slightly chilly outside, but you really don't want to wear a shawl because you don't want to keep it up over your shoulders, because that's like work. It's work to keep a shawl on. At least I feel like it's work. But yeah, there's like cat hair all over it already, and I just like rolled this, so that'll be fun to deal with. But yeah, there's the little jacket. Pockets are a little high. Like I'm feeling like I have to go over my bust to get into them, but there's really nowhere else to put them, and the detail is nice. I like the color here. Now whether or not that should have just been a faux little detail there, but it's kind of nice to have functioning pockets, even if it's just like, you know, putting gloves in there, or like an earring break, since I'm just going to stick it in here. Because, you know, that's what I need in my life, is more pockets to lose things in. I just went into a dress the other day for something totally unrelated, and found all sorts of things in that pocket that apparently have been missing for months. So, yeah, that's exactly what I need, is more space to put things. But the detail, again, like the detail is nice. So I just like the way it looks on the jacket, original. Then of course, you know, the original pattern had the pockets in there too. So if it had been a little bit longer, I think the pockets would have looked really, really nice. But I do like this length though. I think it still looks fine. I think the original was a little bit longer, maybe by an inch or two, but I don't think it's really worth redoing or anything. I think it looks just fine the way it is. Sleeves are a little large, but considering the type of sleeves I tend to make really large sleeves because I like loose sleeves, I think this is just fine because it's going to fit over all my sleeves. Because I have some really large coat sleeves that I would be wearing this with, and that way it won't squish them. Like even this one's not terribly large, but it's still, you know, it fits in there really nicely. The blue is a really pretty color on it, which I do like that, and the little red buttons are just like perfect little detail there. So yeah, fun little project. It didn't take very long. If I hadn't had to stop and wait for those other buttons, it would have been like, you know, like a 2-afternoon project, but I had to stop and wait for 6 more buttons. But all in all, I'm very happy with the project, and I think once events start rolling, it'll be a really nice option. Just, I'm very cold-natured. I tend to get cold very quickly and stay cold. I tend to even wear like heavy jackets even when it's summer, and of course I live in Texas, so like when it's like turned to 10 degrees outside, you will see me in a long sleeved black jacket just like shivering. So yeah, I think it looks really good with this dress too, because of the red buttons of the red. That wouldn't have been necessary, but it can go with any of my dresses. I just think it looks really good with this dress. But yeah, well anyway, thank you so much for joining me, and I will see you in the next one.